Where are you going, Tracy?
I grabbed the wrong device. This one does not have Facebook on it, so I needed to go back to my designated area to get it. So I was trying to sneak out of frame, but then our trusty executive producer was like, "Hey, where are you going?" Time to start the show.
That was very discreet, the slide.
It was a dance move, really, from way back. Right. It is time for After GMS. Thank you so much for joining us, or the parts that fit on the screen. So glad to see you. I'm Tracy McCain here with Megan Malaris, Ed Matthews, Taran Kirksey, and Stacy Spivey.
Yeah, we're going to start with our forecast, because if you haven't noticed, if you haven't stepped outside yet, pretty chilly out there. We're talking like parka, double coat, hat glove, scarf, whatever you need.
Definitely on the cold side to start the day for sure. And I'll talk slow so Tracy will have time to grab that other device. Temperatures out there this morning starting out in the 20s and the 30s. We're at 28 Winston-Salem, 27 Greensboro, and right around 30 degrees in Burlington. We'll see that high temperature end up right around 50 degrees. This afternoon. The winds, not really an issue like they were yesterday, so that's some good news. And then high temperatures warm up into the mid-50s for Thursday and Friday. That's pretty close to average for this time of the year. Rain chances will go up. Right now it looks like late Friday on through Friday night and probably winding down early Saturday. That's the way the timing looks now. Of course, that could change. We'll be watching that carefully for you. And then we dry out for the second half of the weekend, and looks like we'll see another round of some fairly cold air move in here for early next week, with high temperatures barely at 50 again on Monday, and then we're back into the 40s again for highs on Tuesday. So if you look here, all in all, not too bad for the first week of December, with just one chance of precipitation, and temperatures for the most part at or just below average for this time of the year. That's a quick look at your 7-day forecast.
Phew! Thanks, Taran. Appreciate it. It's like I'm going to talk nice and slow so that you can make it back. Thank you. I appreciate it. I took all that time. All right, so it is cold. Really simply to say it, it's brrr outside. The weather is all we can really think about this morning, especially when it kind of just takes over your body and chills your bones. It is one of the coldest mornings that we've seen so far. So Stacy, tell us more about what we can expect today, tomorrow, the next day, and probably the next day after that.
Well, I'm not a meteorologist, but I can tell you it's really cold outside, and it's pretty much going to stay that way. Here's a look at temperatures across the Triad. As we woke up this morning, most places in the upper 20s and low 30s, and it will stay colder for a while now. Chief Meteorologist Tim Buckley tweeting, "I don't see any sustained warmth for us over the next 2 weeks." Jason replied joking, saying, "Look harder." That's what I'm saying. Look harder for those warmer temperatures. And this morning we asked you what you grab to stay warm when it's cold. Maybe a good scarf or some boots. This user texted us saying a hoodie and sweatpants. Or maybe you're more like manatees. They're currently huddled together in Florida Springs, where the temperatures are below 70 degrees. That's, you know, cold weather for manatees. So maybe you're just huddled up in bed this morning. Maybe you're like my dog Wrigley, who's on the couch and underneath a blanket like a human right now. But you can let us know what you are doing to stay warm in our Facebook feed. Well, I'm also under a blanket. You can't see, but there's a blanket over my lap, and I have fuzzy socks on because that is the key for me staying warm throughout the winter, the fuzzy socks.
At some point, you're going to have to tweet out a photo of these socks, because now I'm jealous. I would love to see what they look like. I can just picture
ugly.
Oh, okay. Well, I have kind of like the equivalent to an ugly sweater, but it's an ugly quilt that, you know, my mom and I attempted to make many, many moons ago. And even though it's not the cutest and certainly not well stitched, it's warm. And so I use it all the time, and I just put it underneath my bed and take it out whenever I need it, and I definitely needed it last night. So how about you, Meg?
Yeah, well, I saw a quote or a meme the other day on Facebook that really kind of summed up this season that we're in. It said there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothes. And I think the difference in staying warm is how you dress for it. This morning I had on my extra sweater, my winter parka that's down to my knees, and then I had gloves in my pocket, but I wish that I had put them on my way to work. Because, you know, dressing for the cold weather really makes all the difference. I find that I'm colder in the fall than I am in winter, because I'm, you know, not prepared for it, or I'm not, you know, expecting necessarily the cold days. Taran Kirksey's nodding his head in agreement.
Yeah, you know, the fall is just weird because sometimes it'll start out cold and then end up fairly comfortable in the afternoon, then all of a sudden it's cold again, so you have to kind of wear a bunch of layers. For me, generally I'll just wear a jacket, but since I knew I was working in the studio today, I didn't wear a jacket from my car to walking inside. I just walked in, but that's okay. That's just what I do. I don't follow my own advice when it comes to the clothing thing. It's really just something for me to say while I'm doing a forecast, like, hey, bundle up. Okay. I'm probably not, unless I'm actually going to be standing outside for an extended period of time. So
it's like you're training to be a parent already. Do as I say, not as I do. I love that motto, and I'm like, it works so well with kids too. So hey, great training ground.
There you go. If I'm going to be outside for less than a minute, then I'm probably not going to wear a jacket. I'll just deal with the consequences.
So what are people saying online, Stace?
Well, Nadine says, I put my dogs out this morning and they just stood there, not happy puppies. I mean, I don't blame them at all. Sammy says, sounds like some hot cider time. That sounds really good. Jason says he's got a hoodie and a Carhartt vest on. I hear those are really warm. Wanda is under a warm quilt made by her late mother before she passed away. And Joanne said, even the deer are walking fast in my backyard. I bet they like these temperatures. And then Cindy says, my 2 dogs are enough with blankets. Yeah, dogs are like mini heaters in the bed. And lastly, Heather says, I have my coffee and oatmeal, 2 blankets on with fluffy socks and a fluffy cardigan. She's got it together. She knows how to do this.
Well, it sounds like your dog is warm underneath that blanket, Stacy. What about Rio? Does she get cold often, Ed? Do you have to put her in a little doggy sweater?
Yeah, it's the NC State sweater. Of course it is, and we had that on this morning and all bundled up as we went out and took our long walk. It's like, get it done, Rio. It's cold out here. Let's get it done so we can get back in the house. And I think she's learned now that, the quicker she does her business, the quicker we get back in the warm house, which kind of saves me from, frostbite as well.
I feel like she takes more time probably the more you beg her to hurry up.
Oh yeah, gotta sniff everything. It's like, my gosh, get it done.
It's so funny. Animals are so different. We had a golden retriever growing up, and she had so much fur that she loved the cold weather. She could run for hours with us as we sledded in the backyard. But in the summertime, she would lie down on the air conditioning vent and not want to move. So quite the opposite of apparently your dog, who's a hot box.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, definitely keep weighing in on this conversation. We'll be having it for the next few mornings because tomorrow is another 20-degree, or I guess we should say tonight is another 20-degree night. Is that right, Taran?
Yep, that's exactly right. It's going to be cold again, maybe not quite as cold, but really 27, 28 feels like 25, 26. It doesn't really make a difference. So it's just going to be downright cold.
How about we petition to bring Ed inside some?
Yeah.
Hey, I vote for that.
Yeah.
I vote for that. My hand is way high. It's not bad out here. It's really not, because my segments, with the exception of this Facebook Live show that we do when I'm out here for about 15 minutes, I'm out here for about a minute, maybe a minute and a half, and then I go back into the wood shop and warm up. So it's really not bad at all. I don't mind it.
Well, thanks for giving us some perspective, because, I handle a lot of the WFMY social media accounts when it's my shift to do so. And that's probably one of the biggest things that people will comment on. They're like, oh, Ed must be so cold. And I'm like, I'm just like, I'm supposed to say the PC thing, but really I say like, I feel so bad for him. It is the worst. Like,
lots of coffee this morning for sure. Yeah.
But now I'll be able to say, he's actually only out there for a minute at a time and he loves it. He loves it.
Well, while we keep signing that imaginary petition here to bring Ed inside, let's take a look at our headlines, and then we'll get to our next conversation. It's 7:55 right now, and we have to talk about this. Officials in the UK just approved the Pfizer vaccine for use, and we'll start rolling out the vaccines to people next week. It's the same vaccine Governor Roy Cooper says our state is planning to distribute once approved by the FDA. This is the vaccine that requires 2 doses. The vaccine will first go out to frontline workers, hospital staff, and long-term care facilities. It'll be free for everyone, regardless of health insurance status. Let's look at the latest COVID numbers in our state. Some mixed trends here. The State Department of Health and Human Services reported labs confirmed nearly 2,900 new positive cases Tuesday. They bring the case total to more than 367,000, though the state calculates the large majority of those cases already recovered from symptoms. Currently, at least 2,000 people are hospitalized with COVID, another new record for the 4th consecutive day. And the latest county report keeps Guilford County in the critical tier with a high impact on its hospitals.
Well, state election workers are waiting on recount results from 2 tried counties in the race for the North Carolina Supreme Court Chief Justice. Monday, Guilford County workers canvassed ballots in the race between Republican Paul Newby and incumbent Democrat Chief Justice Sherry Beasley. Newby currently leads by about 400 votes. Once the state has final results from Guilford and Forsyth counties, the race will be certified. The city of Greensboro just launched 12 days of meals, working to help feed the hungry during the holidays. It started Monday with Gassans delivering meals to the Greensboro Urban Ministry, and then those are handed out to people in need. WFMY News 2's Candace Red has the story.
Downtown Greensboro Incorporated is counting on you to help end holiday hunger. Well, DGI is an economic development organization focused on stimulating investment and activity in the center city. The organization is currently focused on fighting holiday hunger through a 12 Days of Meals fundraiser. It'll cover the cost of 250 meals per day for the first 12 days of this month in December to be distributed by Greensboro Urban Ministry to those in need. Well, the cost of the meals will also include a 20% gratuity for the 24 participating restaurants stepping up to help make the meals. By the way, the Wyndham Championship also donated $5,000 to help kick off the campaign earlier this month.
We give out food in 2 ways. One is groceries, and you come and apply for that. But if you want a hot meal, no questions are asked. You just show up at lunchtime and we will feed you. Before COVID, we were feeding about 600 people. We are seeing people we've never seen before since COVID hit. A lot of people for the first time are experiencing the need to find help with food and a relief for their family hunger.
As part of the charitable campaign, DGI also launched a GoFundMe page to help raise about $36,000 to purchase and distribute meals to the homeless. Well, so far, the organization has raised about $19,000. For more details on the campaign and how to donate, all you have to do is visit our website, WFMYnews2.com.
Well, we typically like to start your morning off with whatever, depending on what director is in the booth. Sometimes it's holiday music, sometimes it's a little festive, sometimes it's something out of a circus. But we want to know this morning, what do you like to play? Spotify just released its users' most listened to tracks of 2020, breaking down who they love to listen the most. Stacy, get us started. I'm going to interpret. She said on Monday, Spotify released the top artists streamed this year, but today they've personalized it, showing you the songs and artists you've listened to the most. For some, it was Taylor Swift. This listener who was in the top 0.01% of all listeners. It also breaks down by minute. This listener who spent more than 157,000 minutes listening to the K-pop group BTS. So this morning we want to know, what's the song you couldn't stop singing or the artist you couldn't stop listening to this year? Stace, I tried. Did I do okay?
I think so.
Okay.
Is my shot okay now?
Yeah, I think we can hear you. We can hear you and we can see you just fine. So you actually posed this question on our feed. And why don't you monitor the responses? But I have a feeling that your personal response would have to do something with Harry Styles.
I mean, come on, you know me so well.
Okay, so Harry Styles for Stacy. Taran, is that your style, your genre there?
Oh, well, you know, I'm a little eclectic, so I don't know if I've listened to any real new music that I realized was new or anything like that. One of the things that I listened to a lot this year, just because it was interesting to me. There's this guy named Cat Stevens, or Yusuf Islam, he changed his name, but he released a CD or an album in 1970, and he re-recorded it this year and released it, and he sounds exactly the same. He's had a really healthy life, eat healthy, no drinking, no smoking, and his voice sounds exactly the same in his late 70s as he did in his early 20s, and that was interesting to me. They did a little story on CBS Sunday Morning about it. And I went and I listened to it. I was like, oh man, it sounds exactly the same. So that's probably a CD I listen to a lot, but really I listen to all kinds of stuff. You know, you can go from rap to like to rock and roll to jazz to whatever. So, but yeah, I think the Cat Stevens CD was one I listened to a lot of relaxing music.
Got it. Would not have guessed that one. I was thinking a little Biggie, can't.
Oh yeah, I listened to that too.
That's what came to my mind.
Lil Wayne, or you go AC/DC, you can go U2.
Got it.
We can listen to Boney James.
I love it.
Or Marion Meadows. Like, it's all over the place. So yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, man.
All right, you're next, Ed Matthews. See if you can follow that.
You know, in listening to Turan, I was just out here, you know, thumbs up and shaking my head. He and I are so similar in our taste of music. I don't know a lot about what's going on now. I do listen to some current stuff, but man, you got to take me back to the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. I will say that at the moment, the only CD that I have in my car is Boston's greatest hits. You know, More Than a Feeling and all that good stuff. I listen to that, you know, when I get bored with the radio, but most recently, Andy Williams.
Oh.
Yeah, White Christmas. Good stuff. That old stuff, got to bring it back. It's good stuff.
Yeah, we call them classics because if you call it old, then you call all of us old.
Yeah, well, let me tell you about the classics on my list. Ready for this? Wheels on the Bus, the ABCs,
Definitely.
Mary Had a Little Lamb. Ooh, you can't forget that one. And Jesus Loves Me. That is a top hit.
I mean, honestly, you could put together your own album at that point, right?
I know.
I mean, you can tell that Megan's a mom. There are a couple of moms who are sharing my favorite on our stream right now, Baby Shark. And that, I know, wasn't a 2020 hit, but it's one that will never go away.
For better or worse.
Exactly. My daughter absolutely loves it. More so than my son, but as soon as my son hears it, he starts to chime in, and then he pretends he's the big shark and chases her, and it becomes a game. And then, you know, somebody falls and gets hurt and nobody's laughing. But that's just a typical afternoon at my house, so there you go. Also, I've been listening to a lot of holiday music as of late. Give Love at Christmas. I didn't realize that so many artists sang that song. I have heard it from the Jacksons, the Temptations. I never knew that like SWV, Lettucey, like I just searched Give Love at Christmas and all of these artists came up and I was like, whoa, and I listened to all of them just to see which one I liked the best. And it's still the Jacksons.
Well, let's see what some of you at home like best. Stacey, you're monitoring the comments. I just saw Christine share one of my favorites, Kane Brown, a country fan at heart too.
Nice.
What else are folks writing?
Yeah, I love Kane Brown. And to y'all's surprise, you know, Harry Styles isn't the only thing I listen to, just to clarify. I actually do really love contemporary Christian music. Anything that is on K-Love, I usually listen to that every morning when I wake up to just kind of put me in the right mindset for work. So in the morning, I listen to Christian music, and then throughout the day, it's Harry Styles all the way, okay? Just had to clarify. But a lot of people weighing in. Heather says, Dynamite by BTS is my jam. That song is so good. If you haven't listened to it, I highly recommend it. If you haven't gotten into K-pop, this is a great way to get started. Let's see. Ramona says, I love anything by the Temptations, especially Silent Night. Scrolling through, R. Brian says Tom Perry and the Heartbreakers, Won't Back Down. Bobby actually said Harry Styles. I wonder if he's being serious. If so, we are best friends now. And Kathy said Baby Shark. So right there with you, Tracy. She's been listening to that as well.
Yeah, there's just something about it.
Something about it.
Something about it.
Stacey, what does your husband Jake think of your Harry Styles obsession?
Uh-oh.
He actually just walked in the house, so it's funny that you mentioned that. Usually it's, he rolls his eyes, but what's really funny is I've noticed lately, if I start humming it or singing one of the songs, he has listened to it so much because of me that he knows all the words, so he starts singing the song, and then I catch him, and then it just is really funny. So I'm sure he loved that I shared that with everybody.
You turned him into a fan, Stacey. It's one person at a time.
Slowly but surely.
There you go.
All right, let's get a look at our forecast. It's slowly but surely getting colder and colder and colder.
Yeah, down into the 20s for most locations this morning, but the sun is up. That should drive us up to about 50 today with light winds. Back into the upper 20s tonight. Tomorrow, we'll get back pretty close to normal, mostly sunny and 54. Clouds will start to build maybe as early as late Thursday, but they'll thicken up Thursday night and Friday for some afternoon rain on Friday. That'll extend into Friday night and maybe for a little while on Saturday morning, but we're betting that most of the weekend is going to be dry and cool with highs in the low 50s.
Low 50. So at the end of the Good Morning Show, I mentioned or asked a question whether or not we can expect to see just 50s and 40s for the rest of the year, but you were not convinced, Ed Matthews. You think that we could be warm again?
Oh yeah, we'll see warm again at some time. It might be January, but I remember so many times 60s and even near 70-degree weather. Our weather does not get cold and stay cold. It never happens. Been on this planet for 61 years, and I've tracked the weather in the Piedmont for half of that time at least, if not more. It'll warm up again, it'll get cold again, it'll warm up again, it'll get cold again. It keeps us on our toes in the forecast center for sure.
Yeah, I remember even in just the 7 years I've been here in the Triad, we had a Christmas that was like in the upper 70s, I think, at least a few years ago now, but that was crazy.
Yeah, it's just amazing. It makes our weather so dynamic geographically where we live, you know. You can literally have snow one day and be in the 50s and 60s the next day. I've seen that before as well. It's crazy.
And that's exactly why my son won the argument. He said it's too early to put his shorts away.
Yep.
Fine. You win. All right, thanks so much for joining us. We consider you winners because you join us every morning, most of you, for After GMS, and we certainly appreciate that. Please join us again tomorrow. We'll have more great conversations, and we'll probably be talking about this cold forecast again because it's just that way for now. For now.
We'll leave you with that cliffhanger and see you back here tomorrow. Have a great day.